Welcome to This Week in Money. I'm Jim Goddard. Today, Chartworks CEO Ross Clark takes a look at the hits and misses on the 2017 markets. Trends Journal publisher Gerald Celente and where he sees trouble brewing and what that might do to your investments. He believes blockchain technology like Bitcoin is a logical extension of democracy. He thinks it should allow us to vote from the comfort of our homes. Plus, right after the show, we'll have company showcase updates from American Manganese President Larry Reaugh and MGX Minerals CEO Gerald Lazerson. We'll talk to Ross Clark right after this.
Glance Technologies owns and operates Glance Pay, a disruptive mobile payment technology now live in 16 cities in Canada and about to launch in the US. With revenues up 664% in the last quarter, Glance Technologies has the potential to be a worldwide leader in an industry projected to grow to $1.3 trillion in 3 years. Glance Technologies stock symbols are GLNFF in the US and GET in Canada. Find out more at glancepay.com.
Hi, I'm Douglas Mason, President and CEO of Magnum Gold Corp Inc., MGI on the TSX Venture Exchange. A 2015 drill program on the LH property intersected high-grade gold, including 16.9 meters of 13.58 grams and 11 meters of 20.66 grams per ton gold. A follow-up drill program is planned to further evaluate previously identified subsurface high-grade gold mineralization. Please visit our website at magnumgoldcorp.com.
Welcome to This Week in Money, the source for market opinions. Here is Jim Goddard.
My guest is Ross Clark, CEO of Chartworks. Welcome to the New Year's Eve edition of the show, Ross.
No, pleasure to be with you, Jim, and looking forward to next year.
Looking back over the year, what was the hottest item on the markets that you saw?
Hottest item had to have been anything related to Bitcoin and blockchain. Here we are with Bitcoin finishing off the year at 14,000 plus or minus. I mean, with the volatility we've had in this last couple of weeks. And, this was sub 1,000 at this time last year. I remember we broke out at 825, and, here's a pretty amazing run. And so that's on an international basis. Then you look at the Canadian side of the equation and look at the marijuana stocks of the last year. You had a great run in the fourth quarter of 2016, spent the first half of the year in 17 just consolidating, giving back a good 50% of the run-up. And then from there, you've got Canopy has gone from $5 and change last June, and we're going to finish off the year here up in, touching the $30 level. So there have been some pretty explosive moves in some of the, what I would say, were the more aggressive areas that the bulk of the investment community and the investors would probably not have taken a serious look at. But if you look at the other areas that have had ongoing sponsorship, in technology stocks, the XLK, the ETF there, just another good year this year, up about 40% from the U.S. election with Trump. Pretty amazing year when you look back on it.
Ross, how did the Canadian transportation sector do?
Well, the Canadian side, the railways a bit mixed here. CN had pretty much a early good start to the year and then flattened out. CP ended up with a fabulous year all put in. And then when we go over to the airline sector, this is where one of the real winners came out. Air Canada had started off the year around $13, had a great run into October. And then a small pullback, as you normally see in the airline stocks in October, November, pulled back, and we got one of our great little buy signals, we call it a cap 2, that has taken us up now from $22, and we're starting to see good life as we move into the next year. And over on the other side of the border, when you look at the U.S. transports, good steady rise the early part of the year, and just once again, since November, starting to come to real life here. So you've got transportations and industrials doing well, the type of thing from a Dow 30 perspective that you want to see. So on the U.S. side, maybe the Delta, the United Airlines, things to be looking at.
The FANGs led the way on the NASDAQ. Were you surprised by that?
No, I mean, this was, in terms of the extent of the move, without a doubt. But, when you're into these momentum plays where the big institutions are not looking at putting on positions and holding them for, a month or two, they're looking for long-term buy and holds. There's no question that they saw the growth potential that was there. Now we've gone through a pretty good pause in the last quarter of the year. I think you probably got a bit more of a pause to be seeing before that sector starts to come back to life. If we look at where the rotation is happening in the last few months, the mines and minerals have started to come to life. You take a look at the base metals, the copper, and then you get into the BPs or BHPs, Freeport McMoran, and on the Canadian side, like a Hud Bay, starting to see good life there. And precious metals-wise, we put in some really good lows in the gold market right in that first week or two of December. And, here we are at over $1,300. This is a pretty good change as far as the sector rotation is concerned. And, the other one that everybody was really down on in the first part of the year was over in the energies. And for all that, I think in Canada, the energy sector is about the only one that's finishing down on the year. In reality, when you take a look at how well it's done coming up from the lows, you've got, we're probably up 15% since August on the broad TSX energy index, and the big names like a Suncor or an Encana actually up flirting against some pretty important highs.
You have a new head for the U.S. Fed in the new year, perhaps as many as 4 interest rate hikes. What will that do to the Canadian dollar?
Well, in theory, that should be a negative because the spread between U.S. and Canada, as far as short-term rates, has invariably had an impact. But you wouldn't know it from what we're seeing in terms of the marketplace. The U.S. dollar has been under pressure here for the last 4 or 5 weeks, and the Canadian, being the resource currency that it is, starting to see some pretty good life as we've finished off the year. Probably recovered about half of the loss that we had from the highs back in the third quarter. And we're, for all that we are a petro currency, and we've got the grains and lumber markets also, this whole business of being able to get our product to market as far as energy is just causing that big overhang. And I have always liked to look at the Canadian dollar performance relative to oil. That was one of our really good indicators over the years, but I think I'm going to have to put that one on the back burner and not look at it as closely as I used to, because we just don't seem to have that same correlation that we did. We're probably looking more towards the grains and the lumber market more so even than we used to with energy.
I've heard from international sources that Canada's high-tech sector is actually quite interesting to them.
Yes, and I hear the same things. I guess the key questions become a matter of cost of living in terms of attracting companies to continue to expand here. For all that the Waterloo area and Vancouver seem to have the talent, if firms are looking to expand, the costs of living for both of these sectors of the country really become an overhang. So, I hope from from a federal point of view and provincials that they manage to keep these taxes under control, let alone the costs of housing, which they don't have really other than an indirect impact on. We really would like to see the tech area take over, because say from a commodity perspective, we're just not getting the boost there that we've had in the past.
Ross, how can people find out more about ChartWorks?
Well, they can drop me an email at ross.clark@chartworks.ca, and I do have the odd report here that I can send out and give people a feel for the work that we're doing right now.
Ross, I wish you the best of the new year.
And the same to you and all your family and all the listeners.
My guest has been Ross Clark, CEO of ChartWorks. Coming up, Gerald Celente, next on This Week in Money.
Always consult your investment professional before making any investment decision.
MGX Minerals is revolutionizing the new energy economy with patented lithium extraction technology, replacing traditional solar evaporation using low-cost, low-energy nanofiltration. The first system of this paradigm shift technology is currently being commissioned. MGX Minerals trades on the CSE, symbol XMG, the OTCQB, symbol MGXMF, and Frankfurt, symbol 1MG. For more information, visit our website, mgxminerals.com.
Hi, I'm Douglas Mason, President and CEO of Rainy Mountain Royalty Corp., RMO, on the TSX Venture Exchange. Rainy Mountain's Brunswick property is located in the Reaugh shear zone in Ontario, with grab samples running as high as 32 grams per ton gold. A follow-up drill program to test numerous targets located by recent groundwork is planned for early 2018. Please visit our website at rmroyalty.com.
Avon Resources Limited is a gold exploration company with significant projects in British Columbia, Saskatchewan, and the Yukon. Trading on the TSX Venture Exchange, symbol ABN, and the pink symbol ABN-AF. Surrounded by world-class gold deposits and mines, Avon's 23,000 hectares Forest Kerr Gold Project is located in the heart of the Golden Triangle in northwestern BC. For more information, visit us at avonresources.com.
This Week in Money is archived online at talkdigitalnetwork.com.
Welcome back to This Week in Money. I'm Jim Goddard. I'm speaking with Gerald Celente, publisher of the Trends Journal, available online at trendsjournal.com. He's speaking to us from historic Kingston, New York. Gerald, it's great to have you back on This Week in Money, and I hope Santa was generous to you and your family.
Well, Santa Claus is coming to town all the time, so... Yeah, everything was great. Thank you very much for asking.
And I guess with all these new computer devices listening to you all the time, it's not just Santa who knows when you're naughty and nice.
That's right. Yep. The NSA and everybody else, they got to know our business because we're going to get them terrorists, I tell you.
Yes, they all get Siri and Google to talk to and ask what to do next.
Yeah.
Looking ahead to the brand new year, the stock market boom with the Trump tax cuts, how long could this bull market run for?
Well, now that the tax cuts are coming in, look at what brought the bull market to where it is now, and it was just cheap money. And you saw that it's merger and acquisition activity and stock buybacks that drove the market. In the United States, 90% of the market is owned by only 10% of the population. On average, they own about $350,000 worth of stock, that 90%. The rest of the 10% in the middle class that owns it is only about 15,000. So now let's go back to stock buybacks. The Trump tax plan is going to make the big corporations bigger and richer. And they're the ones that drove the market up with stock buybacks. So as long as they keep buying back stocks and not putting the money into capital improvements, which they haven't done before, the market will keep going up. And we expect a mini panic at some point, but we don't see a crash at this point on economic fundamentals alone. Because again, as long as you keep giving the gamblers money to gamble, they'll keep gambling. It's going to take an outside event, we believe.
What could that outside event be?
Well, it's already shaping up. It's the rhetoric that the United States, Israel, and Saudi Arabia keep ratcheting up. And that's going to be a war against Iran. They're accusing Iran. The United States calls them the greatest supporter of terrorism in the world. And, of course, the Saudis are in the United States have a good role in that. And with what's his name, Trump's recent declaration that Jerusalem is the capital of Israel, that has fired up tensions over there. And so the tensions are getting higher, and we believe if a war breaks out between the United States, Israel, Saudi Arabia against Iran, that's going to crash the markets worldwide, and oil prices will skyrocket. So that's where we really see this going. And the atrocities committed by the United States and its allies in helping Saudi Arabia and their allies destroy Yemen, the poorest nation in the Middle East, of which over 15,000 people have been killed, millions suffering from cholera, and the United Nations ranking it the worst humanitarian crisis in the world and making it worse. So every time the Houthis, who have been there for over 1,000 years, fight back against the Saudis, who invaded them in March of 2015, announcing the war, by the way, from the Washington, D.C., and under the Obama administration and Trump administration, an estimated, and this is according to reports, $400 billion worth of armaments sold to Saudi Arabia and its Arab allies that are killing. When the Houthis fight back, again, the Saudis is a government, a gang that was formed only in 1932. When they fight back, they're terrorists. So it's okay for Saudi Arabia, the United States, its allies, to destroy Yemen, but when they fight back, then they're terrorists. And now this whole thing about Iran supplying the Houthis with the missiles is getting a lot of press, particularly from Nikki Haley, the United States ambassador. And again, based on non-fact, and she's been discredited over and over again with the false information being provided. But America is more concerned about sexual harassment rather than the mass murder being committed.
If we do see a lot of violence and escalating wars, do you see gold and silver having a good year?
Yes, that's what's going to drive gold and silver prices up. That'll be the ultimate safe haven. And also along with it, by the way, is the new one, and that's the cryptocurrencies. That's part of it as well. People looking, cryptocurrencies are the new millennial generation's gold, and they're going into it big time. And so you'll see both of them rise, we believe.
With cryptocurrencies, will governments be able to track all transactions?
No, because of the blockchain technology. And that China stopped to try to stop. They closed down the Bitcoin exchanges back in September of 2016. And the trading in China was down to 5% when they did that. And now it's up to 20% of all the cryptocurrency actions coming out of China in Bitcoin. So they weren't able to stop it. They go onto these secure sites like Telegram and buy things. So as much as the government talks about stopping it, this is a big part of the crypto movement is really a populist movement in people not believing in the fiat currencies being produced by the government. And so they're going into cryptocurrencies where allegedly, for example, Bitcoin has a cap on it of 21 million coins. And you can print all the fiat currencies that you want, backed by nothing, and printed on nothing like digital currencies. So this is to us just the beginning of a trend. And when it becomes a more simpler means of exchange, it's going to escalate. And the people are going to say, no country is going to tell me what cash I can use. I could use my own. I don't have to use theirs. And it's going to grow because the world is becoming a cashless society. When you go to China, you don't use cash or credit cards. You use your app. And now it's even facial recognition. So there's no coin of the realm to be attached to. So the new coin of the realm is going to be the ones from the digital world, we believe.
Do you think governments want their own cryptocurrencies, again, so they can track people?
Well, they want them, for instance, like currencies, like, yes, and one of them is going to be, it's coming out already, they're working on it, coming out of Venezuela. They're backing it by gold, by diamonds and oil, the petrocurrency. Russia's doing the same. And they're doing it also as a rebuttal against the United States sanctions on them, where it becomes more difficult to use their own currency because of the sanctions. So yes, we believe that there are going to be more countries doing it to get a piece of their own action. Japan's also actually done it already with their cryptocurrency.
Are cryptocurrencies then likely to replace paper money and coins in the future?
Yes, in many aspects. Trends are born, they grow, they mature, reach old age, and die. This is a new trend. Anybody that says they're an expert in it, I don't want to hear it. They may know more than other people do. But this is brand new. It's only a couple of years old. And we expect, by the way, very high volatility. There's going to be 40, 50% swings, 70% swings, but again, once it's stabilized, it's a new world order. I mean, let's go back in history. Go back to the 1800s. Was there such a thing called electricity, automobiles, or airplanes? So when you look at the advancements of society, they keep going in new directions. And even the whole technological age, in terms of computer age, the internet revolution, when did it start? Really only 20 years ago, basically. Any of us all of us old enough to remember, back in 1992, 1994, you didn't get video on your computer. You had this static thing that was moving, it hardly worked. So the whole trend is brand new. And so we're going into a whole new age.
Was Bitcoin likely created by a person or a government?
I believe by a person or people. I don't believe by a government. But again, I don't know. It's only speculation.
Have you thought about creating your own crypto Celente?
Nah, not at all.
Going back to precious metals, is silver going to enjoy the same kind of good year you expect for gold?
Probably, yes. If gold has a real spike, and Jim, I've been saying this for 4 years now, and I haven't changed it. And remember, I'm one of the founding fathers of the gold bull run. It's in our Trends Journal back, in the early 2000s. I call the beginning of the gold bull run. So I don't take things as, this is what I want. This is what I see. And so I call it as I see it. Gold has to break strongly over $1,400 an ounce. I've been saying this for 4 years, and it hasn't done it, for it to spike. When it does go over $1,400, $1,480, $1,460, $1,470, start staying in that range, we see it taking kind of like a Bitcoin bounce, it going up past $2,000 an ounce. That's when silver will go in for the ride. But silver on its own isn't going. We don't see it making it the big move. We see gold having to pull it forward, as it's often done in the past.
Would it be more affordable for the average person to get into silver?
Again, we don't give investment advice, so it's up to people to make their own decision on that.
Are you bullish on the U.S. dollar in the new year?
Yes. Again, bullish only in the sense that interest rates are going to go up. And as interest rates go up, the dollar gets stronger. And what's their competition? I mean, look at the reserve currency. Everybody talks about the Chinese yuan. Was that 2% of the action worldwide? So the dollar's doing good because the other ones are doing so poorly. And we'll go back to Europe, the euro. The euro also has a big chunk of the foreign exchange market as a reserve currency. But there is still a negative interest rate policy. So the dollar, we believe, is going to gain strength as the interest rates go up. And again, not because the economy is so strong. The stock market and the economy are two very different things. But it's because there's no competition.
They're going to hold the Vancouver summit about North Korea. Do you feel a diplomatic solution will be reached over the North Korean atomic weapons?
Not as long as you have sick people in charge of governments. And that's all we have, murderers and thieves, but nobody wants to call a spade a spade. How many wars does America and its allies have to start? How many more million people do they have to kill before they call the murderers people that started the murderers? Did I ever tell you, Jim, that Saddam Hussein has weapons of mass destruction and ties to Al-Qaeda? How come they're not bringing these people up on war crime charges for lying us into war? How come? Who knew what when? And the same thing with Obama with the Libyan war. The same thing with Obama in the Syrian war. And now the United States in the Yemen war, in Somalia. So no, you got a bunch of sick people, and nobody wants to call psychopaths psychopaths, murderers murderers, or sociopaths sociopaths.
Should Obama have to give back that Peace Prize and the $1 million that came with it?
You mean the Nobel Piece of Crap Prize?
Well, in this case,
yes, that's all it is. It's a piece of crap. Look who they awarded it to this year. A group that's against nuclear proliferation. How about throwing it away? Who's going to give up their nuclear arms? The only one they want to give up nuclear arms is they want North Korea to give it up so they could slaughter them. And that's why they won't give them up, because they saw what they did to Gaddafi and they saw what they did to Hussein. Giving a peace prize to a group where you know that the United States, Israel, Russia, China, Pakistan, India, and all the others that have nuclear weapons are not going to give them up. That's a ridiculous waste of a peace prize. But that's all the Nobel Peace Prize is a piece of crap. They should have awarded it to me for launching OccupyPeace.us, the only peace plan in the world with a platform that's truly for peace. Bring home all of the troops, close all the bases overseas. Honor the founding fathers, no foreign entanglements. Oh, you want secure borders? Put the troops to secure our borders. Oh, and one other little thing. According to the Constitution, only Congress has the right to declare war, not the authorization to give it to El Presidente of los Estados Unidos. So let's force Congress to vote to go to war. Oh, we were talking about cryptocurrencies before. Now with blockchain technology, bam, we could vote online, and nobody can hack into it. Much better system than the BS system, crap system, jerk systems that they have now that we vote on, that all the local guys rig. So this is impregnable. So let us vote and tell Congress and senators whether or not we want to go to war. So that's OccupyPeace.us, because after all, these little boy congressmen and senators and girls, they can't fight their way out of a paper bag. You think little Paulie Ryan's going to go lead the charge? Or how about, is Lindsey Graham going to go? Is Trump's kids going to go fight? Let we the people decide. Yes, we the people, OccupyPeace.us. They ignore us because we have a true peace program that nobody wants to talk about. Hey, did you hear about the latest sexual harassment of Russell Simmons? No, I was listening to watching, that's all they talk about. They don't talk about peace, they talk about sexual harassment rather than mass murder committed by a country near you.
We'll have more with Gerald Celente next on This Week in Money.
I'm Larry Reaugh, President and CEO of American Manganese, Inc., listed on the TSX Venture, ticker symbol AMY, A-M-Y, with proprietary patents in the U.S., China, and South Africa. Our focus is on recycling lithium-ion batteries for electric vehicles. China recently legislated the responsibility for recycling onto their electric vehicle manufacturers and importers. For more information, please visit AmericanManganeseInc.com or phone me, Larry Reaugh, at 778-574-4444.
Arctic Star Exploration, operated by a team of proven mine finders, is focused on diamonds in Finland and the Northwest Territories of Canada. A work program is planned for our Finland property that contains diamond-bearing kimberlite. Arctic Star trades on the TSX Venture Exchange, symbol ADD, and the Frankfurt Exchange, symbol 82A1. Please visit our website at arcticstar.ca or call us at 604-689-1799.
I'm Brian Fowler, President of Blind Creek Resources Limited, listed on the TSX Venture Exchange, ticker symbol BCK. Blind Creek is focused in the Yukon, Northwest Territories, and British Columbia. The company's key property is the Blend Project, one of the largest undeveloped lead-zinc-silver deposits in Western Canada, plus plans to advance the recently acquired, fully permitted historic engineer gold mine in the Atlan District of Northwestern BC. Check us out at blindcreekresources.com.
This Week in Money is archived online at talkdigitalnetwork.com.
Welcome back to This Week in Money. I'm Jim Goddard. We're chatting with Gerald Celente, publisher of thetrendsjournal.com. Gerald, do you think oil will hit $100 in the new year?
if the United States, Israel, and Saudi Arabia continue to take the world to war against Iran, it'll go way over $100. It'll crash economies and crash the equity markets. Other than that, we don't see it going up because of the supply and demand issue. And again, it's going up now because of that supply issue, and particularly the break over there in the 40s in the North Sea. So only temporary, but there's more supply than demand. And by 2020, the United States is going to be outproducing even Russia and Saudi Arabia in the amount of oil and natural gas we'll be pulling out of the ground. So it's only a temporary spike, but war will change it.
How does your globalnomic view look for 2018?
Well, again, we gave it the overview, and there are a lot of positives that could happen. But if we go to war, it will derail most of the good, positive elements.
Is real estate around the world likely to have a good year?
We think it's going to start moderating. You have, whether it's Czech Republic or the United States, Vancouver, a lot of places, the prices keep escalating. We think they'll moderate, but again, absent a war, they'll keep going up. Again, if that depends on interest rate rises. It depends how much the central banks raise interest rates. Because as long as the cheap money is available, people will be able to get loans, and so it's really tied to interest rates.
A booming U.S. economy versus rising interest rates, what's likely to happen to U.S. real estate?
Again, if interest rates go up too high, real estate goes down. But again, it's very important to look where real estate is going up. It's going up in select areas. It's not going up around the country. So in the hot areas where it's going up, it'll peak. But again, it depends on how many times they raise interest rates and the availability of the money flow. So if we have inverse interest rates where the short-term rates really start spiking, you're going to start seeing a slowdown.
As interest rates rise, are banks likely to make it easier or tougher to get a loan?
Oh, it'll be harder. There's no question about it. The banks are they want interest rates to go up because they make more money when interest rates are up. But again, because wages are so flat, and it's not only in the United States, around the world, people won't have the capacity to borrow more.
Are wages flat because of the fake inflation numbers we get? Remember, they got together about 20 years ago now to take fuel and housing prices out of the inflation index.
No, the wages are down because the world is controlled by plantation owners, like they like to call multinational corporations. And plantation owners really don't pay the slaves very much money. And you have in the United States, for example, 3 people, Gates, Buffett, and Bezos, that have more money than half the United States population combined. So it's just a concentration of wealth on the top.
Is there any hope for the average person under the current tax regime that's going to be coming in?
No, it's not. You look at all the data from every research group. It only enriches the rich. It goes back to the wages. It's become a neo-feudal society, and different laws, different regulations for the economic elite and the political nobility, and that's the way it's being run.
By the end of next year, is the deep state of the U.S. government likely to have more or less power?
More. The Trump has backtracked on virtually everything he said on his foreign policy levels about staying out with Syria. The United States is keeping 2,000 troops in Syria. What right does the United States have to be there? They're not invited. It's a sovereign nation. What right do we have to be there? What right to be in Somalia? There's an estimated 44,000 troops around the world by the United States. They won't tell us where they are. We can't tell you where they are because then then terrorists will know. Yeah, come on, save it, Junior. What am I, 6 years old? He's not telling us because you're murderers. And just to make this very clear, I mentioned Bezos, the owner of Amazon, and one of the things that he said, that he hires people that are right, that have proved in what they've done by their success. Let's add this up, all you military folks out there that love to salute the generals. You haven't had a victory since World War II. You haven't been right ever. And you're not going to be right now. Again, OccupyPeace.us. Put your money where your heart is, and people don't want to. No talk about peace and love, man. Those are gone days.
Do you think if they had the surveillance technology back in the 60s, they could have quashed the peace movement then?
The reason the peace movement went in the 60s is because they had the draft. I was there. I know what it was like. 1965 was my first year in college. Prime draft meet. That's why people are protesting. A bunch of cowards. People don't protest when their lives aren't affected. They don't care. It's become a military of people. A lot of people that can't get jobs come from, poorer parts of the country. So the elites don't care. I'm 15 minutes away from Woodstock, New York. All these people with their quiche-eating grin and their balsamic smiles. All these people BS about peace and love. You didn't get a penny from one of them when we launched Occupy Peace here, having Ralph Nader, Cindy Sheehan, Dr. Robert Thurman, Gary Null. They're a bunch of big mouths. All they do. Where were all these protesters that came out after Trump got elected? How come they're not protesting the war? I'll tell you why. They're cowards. That's why. So no, it has nothing to do with the government having surveillance. It has to do with people being cowards.
What's your outlook for base metals in 2018?
Well, it's like the copper, iron ore types of things are going to go up moderately. It depends on China. How China goes, so too does much of the base metal business, and that is that the China brings in 40-50% of the copper going on that they use, and Dr. Copper is the indicator. It's used in so many different functions and uses, from high tech to industrial age. So it depends on China. China's the one to watch, and they have a debt to GDP ratio now of over 300. So they have a big bubble building as well, but it's the Chinese government. They'll do anything they can to keep it going. So you just watch China, and that's how it'll go.
Do you expect China to see slowing growth in the new year?
Well, slowing growth to China, what are they talking about? 6% growth? In the United States, they brag if it's 2.5. So, yeah, it's going to slow. But then you have India, too, that's growing. So you're looking now at a population of combined, 2.6 billion people. So if Asia keeps growing, Indonesia, China, India, even if they grow it at the 6% rate, that's still pretty strong, and it'll keep things going. Again, you're looking at strong growth in areas that, could you imagine if Canada, the United States, had 6% growth?
That sounds like something that happened back in the 60s.
Yeah, again, it's a different time. The business of America and Canada and North America is war. The business of China is business. And so they have an inside-out government, in the sense that the government, like them or not, hate them, doesn't make a difference. They're the ones that decide where the economy's going. They tell business what to do. In the United States and Canada, it's an outside-in. Corporations tell the government what they're going to do. So it's fragmented because of the power coming from very broad range of multinationals. So they're the ones that are deciding the direction. So you have a scattered direction rather than the Chinese with a, as we call it, follow the Yellow Silk Road, their Belt and Road Initiative.
Do you have any thoughts about Canada's economy in the new year?
Yeah, more of the same. Again, it depends if there's a war and oil prices spike, then there's going to be it's going to be good for the Canadian economy. But again, you're facing an overvalued market in a lot of places, and again, wages aren't going up to meet the debt level that keeps growing. So, it's in rocky territory, and how much are they raising interest rates? Really, hardly anything. So, it's going to be, we see it more of the same, but again, It depends on what goes on the geopolitical front.
Prime Minister Justin Trudeau announced that pot will be legalized in Canada, but not on July 1st as first promised. Now he says sometime next summer. Does it sound like he's bailing out?
Yeah, well, who is he to say? Who put the power in the hands of these little boys and girls? Well, that's disgusting. Who is he? Who anointed him God?
Well, apparently...
So, of course it's going to stall. They're a bunch of losers. They all disgust me. Republicans, Democrats, you name the country, they're all a bunch of arrogant people that democracy is a stupid word that makes no sense at all because it's not really not carried out. The will of the people, forget it. It's the will of as I said, the neo-feudal society, the economic elite and the political nobility.
Do you think it's wrong for a government to continue to charge people for marijuana possession when they have promised to legalize it in the near future?
Well, again, the government, who are these people? Look at what they should, the war on drugs. How about going after the drug companies? Look at the opiate crisis. And they're breaking people's chops or getting high. I'm a big jazz fan. You listen to the old jazz songs. Everybody was getting high on pot. It was legal. The seed, I don't think Trudeau invented the seed. Who are these people? Who are these people? They're a bunch of arrogant jerks. I've had enough of them for the rest of my life.
We'll have more with Gerald Celente next on This Week in Money.
I'm Greg Johnston, CEO of Carl Data Solutions, an industrial Internet of Things company that provides big data solutions for monitoring critical infrastructure. Carl Data offers machine learning and predictive analytics features through our cloud-based applications to deliver key asset-saving operational insights from massive amounts of data. Carl Data trades on the CSE, symbol CRL, and the Pink, symbol CDTAF. For more details on Carl Data, please visit carlsolutions.com.
I'm Bill McWilliam, president of Cascadero Copper, CCD on the TSX Venture Exchange. Cesium is one of the world's rarest metals with a growing industrial demand. Drilling is underway on our Tehran property in Argentina to prove up a cesium resource. Cascadero's patent-pending leach process has the potential to make Cascadero the lowest cost supplier of cesium in the world. Visit our website, cascadero.com, or phone us at 604-924-5504.
Cypress Development Corp's flagship lithium project is located just east of Albemarle's Silver Peak mine in the heart of Clayton Valley, Nevada. A 12-hole exploration drill program for lithium-enriched claystone on Cypress's 100% controlled properties is now underway. Cypress Development Corp trades on the TSX Venture Exchange, symbol CYP, the Pink CYDVF, and on Frankfurt's C1Z1. For more information, please visit our website, cypressdevelopmentcorp.com.
This Week in Money is archived online at talkdigitalnetwork.com.
Welcome back to This Week in Money. We're speaking with Gerald Celente, publisher of the Trends Journal. Gerald, what is blockchain democracy?
Let's go back to the cryptocurrency craze, or we call it cryptomania cash-in. And blockchain is what's making it possible. So again, going back to, you got a bunch of these little politicians telling us what to do. With blockchain technology, we could have a voting system. We could vote instantly on major issues rather than having a bunch of little clowns, arrogant little clowns with their big names and high offices telling us what to do. So you're talking about marijuana, let the people vote. You want to go over to Syria, let the people vote. You want to raise or lower interest rates, let the people vote. Let the people vote. Blockchain democracy. We could vote online instantly. Oh, and people say, well, the people are too stupid. Oh, yeah? Look at the jerks you got running the show. And with blockchain technology, nobody can hack into it. So that's us is blockchain democracy. We, the people, decide. Not a bunch of arrogant little low-life politicians who take bribes and payoffs that morons believe to be called campaign contributions.
Are governments that limit the contributions to campaigns going in the right direction?
Of course. Of course they are. This whole system's rigged. The more dough you got, the higher level you reach. Look at the billionaires that are around the world that are running governments. You just had an election with the ruling party in South Africa. Yeah, the guy's the richest guy now who just won, whether not good or bad. Take a trip over to the Czech Republic, another billionaire. Hey, who's running the government in the United States? A billionaire. Grow up, everybody. Open your eyes. The rich are running and ruining the world. They got all the dough. Again, I'm not making these numbers up. Look at Oxfam report. What do you got, 8 people that have more money than half the world's population combined? So of course, it's run by the rich.
Is that why they want big militaries around the world, protect the rich?
Well, of course it is. I mean, that's what they are. Anytime the people get out of line, the military hit the street.
Are there any competitors likely to challenge Amazon in 2018?
Sure, the Chinese are, and they're going to be, you're going to see more. The Chinese, the 20th century was the American century. The 21st century, we see it the way it's shaping up, is going to be the Chinese century. So look for the lot of competition coming out of China, and not only in that, but in the whole high tech world. One of our top trends for 2017 was Silicon Valley Rust Belt 2.0, in the sense that you're seeing more and more high tech artificial intelligence. China's about to take the lead in that whole field. So there's going to be a lot of challenges.
Should we keep our eye on China or join up with China?
Well, again, the deal is rigged, and then you can thank Bill Clinton and all the other low-life politicians that sold out the people. The companies went over there because of their cheap labor. And again, go back to 2001 when China joined the World Trade Organization, two weeks after 9/11, when nobody's watching. So all these low-life companies to use slave labor so they can make more money rather than paying the locals, what they did, the deal is this. Yeah, you can open up a place in China, but you can't. You have to go in partners with a Chinese company. So now they got all our technology from the United States and Europe. Oh, and by the way, you can't own the whole company. You only can own 49% of it. Now China's taken all of that technology, and now they don't need the rest of the new tech. They got it all. And so, for example, you want to import cars from the United States into China. You can import them, but you're going to pay 23% tax. But I'll tell you what, you can go in partners with one of our companies over here. You'll only own 49%. You make your cars over here, you could sell them over here. So they got all the technology. So no, it's a rigged game. And you're going to start seeing a lot of pushback coming from the Trump administration on that front.
Do you see any positive trends in education?
Yes, interactive education. We call it Interactive University. And it was one of the trends I actually identified and coined the term back in my book Trends 2000 back in 1996. The education system we have now is an industrial age model. And there's, again, go to India, and it's a lot of poor people there. But they're really exceeding in interactive education. Again, the model that we have now stinks. It doesn't stink? Well, I would say, hey, if it didn't stink, the United States wouldn't be in the problems that we have. And we spend more money just about than any other country, and we don't even win, place, or show with other nations in educational standards. So interactive education is the 21st and century and beyond type of education. You could also start teaching people what they're good at doing, what their talents are, what their opportunities could be, rather than forcing them to have a general education. You got to learn this because we're a bunch of bureaucrats and we're going to tell you what you have to learn. Now pay attention and sit up straight and no talking. That's the arrogance, the stupidity of the political systems that have destroyed one nation after another. They just keep putting their bureaucratic garbage, spewing it out, and you can see the results. If the education system was worth anything, we would not be in the problems that we have. So interactive education, where you could access the finest, the brightest, and the best in the world, rather than the people that take a stupid test to pass a state test so they could become a teacher, could teach you.
Do you feel that schools are obsolete, the old brick and mortar, you can learn better at home?
A lot of it, yes. Not all of it, but a good part of it. It's a different world. Just like people are working from home, they could learn from home. And virtual reality, when that becomes a whole nother level, you're going to be feeling like you're sitting in a classroom. Again, it's the new age. It's in the truest sense. But everybody's hanging on to the past. Here, I'm doing your show now, right? We're talking about the trends of 2018. Turn on any of the networks, pick up any of the newspapers, and here's what happened in 2017. No, we're too stupid to look ahead. We don't have any skills to. No universities teach trend forecasting. No, but you could get a degree in history. They're a bunch of losers, man.
Gerald, talking about North Korea again and having nukes, an example of what happens when you get rid of your atomic weapons is Ukraine. They signed a treaty with Russia. Look, if you don't invade Crimea, we'll get rid of our nukes. They got rid of their nukes, and guess what Russia did?
Russia didn't invade Crimea. Russia's been in Crimea longer than America's been a country. And they had a vote there that was monitored by international observers where over 96% of the people voted to leave Ukraine. And, by the way, remember Kosovo? Oh, yeah, those votes are to leave are okay. As long as the United States and its killing partners like Canada and the others say so. So no, that's not true at all, the statement that you made. And again, the United States overthrew the democratically elected government of Yanukovych in Ukraine. And if any other country did it, then the United States would declare war against it. So no, it's not. We don't see that at all.
Are we likely to see more separatist movements rising in the U.S. and Canada?
Yes, that's going to be part of blockchain technology as well. Just like people are going into cryptocurrencies, they've had enough of the old system.
What do you see ahead for Occupy Peace?
Oh, the future of Occupy Peace is in the hands of the people. And I know billionaires that won't give me a penny for peace. So it depends on whether or not people are going to support OccupyPeace.us, because if we don't have peace, we're going to war.
How can people find out more about that and more about the Trends Journal?
Oh, go to OccupyPeace.us, OccupyPeace.us, and go to our website, TrendsResearch.com, and go to our trend update, and you can view all the top trends for 2018. Thank you so much, Jim. And Happy New Year to you and all your listeners.
Thank you very much, Gerald.
Bye-bye now.
My guest has been Gerald Celente, publisher of the Trends Journal, which you can find online at TrendsJournal.com. He was speaking to us from historic Kingston, New York. And that wraps up our show for this week. We'd like to thank our guests, Ross Clark and Gerald Celente, and thank you for listening. If you have any questions for the show or for our guests, you can send them to info@howstreet.com. Coming up right after the show, we'll have company showcase updates from American Manganese CEO Larry Reaugh and MGX Minerals President Gerald Lazerson. I'm Jim Goddard, wishing everyone a Happy New Year. We'll be back next week with more This Week in Money.
Comments made on This Week in Money are an expression of opinion only and should not be construed in any manner whatsoever as recommendations to buy or sell any financial instrument at any time. Archived online at TalkDigitalNetwork.com. This Week in Money is a production of Howe Street Media Incorporated. Executive producer is Tom Allen. Welcome to Company Showcase, an advertising feature on HoweStreet.com.
I'm Jim Goddard. I'm speaking with Larry Reaugh, President and CEO of American Manganese. Welcome back to the show, Larry.
Well, I'm always glad to be on the show, Jim.
Larry, you have some big news from down under.
Yeah, the Australians have decided to, the press release was just out this week, have decided to go ahead. They've done their due diligence on the Rocher de Boule property where we have the high-grade cobalt and gold, and they feel that there's a lot of potential there, and so they're going to proceed with the joint venture and spend a couple $1 million over 4 years. I see that as a huge plus for the shareholders because we don't have to raise money for it, and basically there's always a chance of some kind of a major discovery. So that's the exciting thing sitting in the weeds. Of course, we have an exciting project, which is our lithium-ion batteries, and certainly that is starting to get spotlighted. As I've been saying in the last few podcasts, we're getting more and more exposure that way. Currently, we're being dwarfed by marijuana stocks, cryptocurrencies. Gold has decided to make a very great rally towards the end of the year. But all said and done, I think next year we'll carve our own corner out in the market, and we will see some great action going on. When you get into that regards, anybody that's been following the markets at all will certainly have been paying attention to the marijuana stocks, and the cryptocurrencies and the marijuana stocks continue to keep going up, as does the lithium stocks, and now the cobalt stocks, and the next one in line is the recycling. Jim, when you stop and think about it, where is the cobalt going to come from? Well, I have to tell you today that it's trading at $75,500 a ton, and I can only see it going through 100 in the first quarter of next year. What's that mean? Well, that means that there has to be a lot of mines being brought into production, which is not going to happen overnight. My mining experience says that from drill hole to commercial production is 10 years. I would say that in the case of a critical metal like this, that time could be reduced to 5 years, but even that is a long ways out. First of all, you got to drill, you got to outline the resources, then you have to do a study on what category the resources fall into, and hopefully a feasibility study. And with everything a go, you've got to work on your environmental permits, which takes time, and raise the money to put it into production. And if you're looking at high-grade shows, they'll probably be small, like the mine that's going to go into production probably sometime in the next couple of years in Idaho, but they'll only produce 1,100 tons of cobalt in a year. Now, where does that put recycling? Well, you still see the skeptics out there saying, is there any money in recycling lithium-ion batteries? God, I can do the math, and the math says that on the most popular battery out there, today the value is $2,800 worth of cathode material in that battery. So when you talk about the amount of batteries, when you're talking about millions of cars being produced out there, let's say 100,000 batteries. That's a $280 million worth of cathode materials in there. Sure to God, there's room for somebody to make money in that kind of a market, and we expect that we know we can get 100% of it back, and we're not sure on what the costs are going to be for the technology that's required to actually disassemble the individual cells, but there's a lot of money to work with, just like in mining, Jim. Sometimes you have difficult ore and hardness, or underground and cave-ins, or blocky ore. All those things you can overcome, and you can certainly, if you can put a battery together, a cell, you can take it apart. And that'll be automated robotics, and we'll be paying a lot of attention to that next year. So I see a very good year coming up for our shareholders. I'm happy to see the year closed up On the plus side, gold is making, trying to get back to the $1,200 or $1,300 mark, and the marijuana stocks are going through the roof. Cryptos, well, I won't even comment on that. I missed that market, and rationalization didn't work for me in that case. But the lithium markets, companies are raising a lot of money. I think there was something like $42 million raised for lithium projects in October. You're starting to see other things that are developing, like a lot of attention being paid to manganese. Now that it could see a bigger use in batteries, and of course we have patented technology on that, and we have low grade resources in Arizona, and so we're covered. We're covered. And certainly their biggest mover is going to be the lithium-ion battery recycling. And the Cobalt project has the excitement of potential discovery in it. And, of course, the manganese is something that all this recycling developed from was our manganese project. And that could be have a fire lit under it, too. So it's going to be a busy year for the company, and I see a lot of plus side going up. So I just have to say that I couldn't see a better way of closing out the year, although we're getting that, that end of day small selling that keeps trying to drive the stock down, and that's the predators trying to protect their short positions. But, that'll all come to an end. It can't go on like that forever. And so that's kind of what my message is today, Jim, is just a kind of a recap to say that we're very happy to have Longford come into the Cobalt project. That won't take away from what we're doing on the lithium-ion batteries recycling, because they're paying for everything for the next 4 years. And we'll also be gathering a little of their stock and some cash payments each year. So that can't hurt the bottom line. And I just wish everybody a happy new year and a prosperous one.
Larry, where are you traded and under what symbols?
We're traded on the Toronto Stock Exchange and the Venture Exchange under the symbol AMY. We're traded in the U.S. under the symbol AMYZF, and we're traded in Frankfurt, which is now starting to pick up, under the symbol 2AM. We can be reached at our website, www.americanmanganeseinc.com. I can be reached on the phone at 778-574-4444. And you can reach me at my email address, LREAUGH@AMYMN.com.
Larry, have a happy new year.
Well, you have a happy new year, Jim, and I think it's going to be a great year.
My guest has been Larry Reaugh, CEO and President of American Manganese. We were speaking on December 28th. I'm Jim Goddard.
Comments made on Company Showcase are an expression of opinion only and should not be construed in any manner whatsoever as recommendations to buy or sell any financial instrument at any time. Archived online at HowStreet.com. Company Showcase is a production of How Street Media Incorporated. Welcome to Company Showcase, an advertising feature on HowStreet.com.
I'm Jim Goddard. I'm speaking with Gerald Lazerson. He's the CEO and President of MGX Minerals. Best of the season, Gerald.
Hello, Jim. How are you?
We're doing great. Gerald, you've spent a very busy holiday season jetting back and forth between Vancouver and Calgary. Can you tell us what was accomplished?
Well, we're having a very exciting time right now with our lithium extraction technology. It looks like that's almost ready to go for deployment. So that's 750 barrels a day lithium extraction with the clean water byproduct, which is a great offshoot of our lithium extraction. We got a bunch of other things going on as well. We just acquired a battery research and development company near commercialization from a large mining company that was, I guess, getting back to their core business and wanted to get rid of this asset. Looks like it could be the lowest CapEx, lowest OpEx battery, really zero OpEx battery in the world for mass storage. Doesn't really apply to vehicles. It doesn't really compete with our lithium interests. But the battery doesn't contain any lithium, cobalt, or anything fancy. So low cost for mass storage, heavy, not super mobile, but really a core fuel cell technology, not hydrogen, but really relying on low cost zinc oxide. As well, we have a couple other exciting things going on I wanted to mention. Our magnesium mine, our magnesium property project is almost done with PEA, long awaited. Been working on it the better part of a year, and we're just finalizing some market information and should be able to get that out this month, although we've been promising that for a while. I think we're good to go. We have to do a lot of process engineering and really get things tight in terms of the pit design and those basic elements of the mine plan in order to get that done. And then the final piece, going on long-winded here, but the final piece is that we're ramping up our silicon projects. We have a large number of silica properties in BC, a very high grade, 98%, 99+% silica quartzite, ideal or potentially ideal for silicon metal production, and then with a long-term goal of being able to supply. I don't think we'll produce it ourselves, but supply that silicon metal to the solar silicon industry, which is requires a very, very high level of purity, but is that mass environmentally friendly market of solar, which really dovetails into our investment now in low-cost mass storage. So we want to supply the silicon for the solar. We'll see if we have the purity to do that. That's really a metallurgy issue, and then have that kind of dovetail into mass storage, because mass storage without solar and solar without mass storage really is only a half step in terms of independent, really site self-sufficient is really kind of what we're going for here, industrial, commercial, residential, but really reaching site self-sufficiency in terms of alternative and more progressive forms of energy.
Jared, could you give us a bit of a background to MGX for new listeners?
Sure. MGX started off as an industrial minerals company. Our main project historically is the Driftwood Creek Magnesium project. That is 8.3 million tons, includes measured and indicated ore, grading 43%. That's a compliant resource. We've drilled that out. We've completed geotechnical drilling, and we've done initial metallurgy and process design, and that is now in the preliminary economic assessment phase, which we expect shortly. After that, we will then likely proceed with initial permitting activities, or further the environmental and other things that are required for permitting. So that's the background on where we started. Where we are now is a diverse company involved in a number of advanced materials: magnesium, lithium, silicon. These are all commodities we see a great future for. We see no reason why the demand out the long term will not continue to increase. These are advanced materials, battery materials. So we've now developed our own proprietary technology for extraction of lithium, whether that's mine tailings, natural brine like in South America, or petrolithium, which is the wastewater from oil. That's a division that we've developed and a partnership we developed with a company that we're acquiring, Pure Lucid Technologies. And as well, like I mentioned, we just acquired a company called ZincNix, which is a stationary mass storage company focused on low cost mass storage for like I mentioned, all forms of energy, but really focusing on renewables such as solar and wind.
Jared, on what platforms is MGX traded on, and under what symbols?
We are traded on the Canadian Securities Exchange, CSE, under the symbol XMG, on Frankfurt in Germany, 1MG, and in the U.S., OTCQB, under the symbol MGXMF.
And how can people get more information about the company?
Website's the best spot. Forms on the website or info@mgxminerals.com.
Gerald, thank you so much for chatting with us.
Thank you, Jim.
I'm Jim Goddard. We were speaking with Gerald Lazerson, CEO and President of MGX Minerals, on December 27th.
Comments made on Company Showcase are an expression of opinion only and should not be construed in any manner whatsoever as recommendations to buy or sell any financial instrument at any time. Archived online at HowStreet.com. Company Showcase is a production of How Street Media Incorporated.